You know, sometimes the greatest fight you'll ever face won't be with another person or with your circumstances, it'll be with your own mind. The war isn't out there, it's in asterisk here. Asterisk, the real battlefield is in your thoughts. You can look calm, composed, smiling on the outside, but inside, you're wrestling with voices that tell you you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're too late, too broken, too far gone. You start believing that maybe those voices are right, and that's how negativity wins. It doesn't need to knock you down physically. It just needs to convince you to stop standing up mentally. See, negative thoughts are smart. They don't come with a warning sign. They come dressed in logic, in reason, in what sounds like truth. They'll whisper things that sound like they're protecting you. Don't try, you'll just fail again. Don't trust, you'll just get hurt. Don't hope, you'll just be disappointed. They sound reasonable, but what they're really doing is robbing you, stealing your faith before you ever take a step. And once your faith is gone, the fire goes with it. That's why you've got to recognize what's going on inside your mind. You've got to know when your thoughts are trying to manipulate your spirit. You have to be strong enough to say, I'm not letting my emotions lead me anymore. I'm not letting fear be the voice that guides me. Because when you say yes to God, when you align your thoughts with His truth, that's when you start walking differently. That's when your energy shifts, your presence shifts, your life begins to move with purpose. But I'll be honest, it's not easy. You can't just flip a switch and expect the noise to go away. You've got to fight asterisk for your peace. You've got to train your mind like an athlete trains his body. Every single day you wake up and you decide, I'm not feeding the darkness today. I'm feeding the light. I'm not listening to what's wrong with me. I'm focusing on what's right asterisk within asterisk me. You've got to choose your mental diet, because whatever you feed will grow. If you keep feeding the fear, it'll take over. If you feed your faith, your hope, your gratitude, that's what'll dominate. And let's be real, some of you have been feeding fear for so long. It feels like second nature. You've gotten so used to pain that peace feels strange. You've gotten so used to doubt that faith feels foreign. But let me tell you something. You are not stuck. You are not broken beyond repair. You just need to reintroduce your mind to the truth. You need to start reminding yourself, I'm still chosen. I'm still capable. I still have time. I still have purpose. The past didn't cancel your destiny. It prepared you for it. You see, when you start saying yes to God, you're not saying yes to an easy road. You're saying yes to transformation. You're saying yes to being stretched, yes to being tested, yes to walking through things that don't make sense yet, but will build your strength later. You're saying yes to something bigger than fear, bigger than failure, bigger than the noise in your head. And once you start living that yes, the negative thoughts lose their power because they no longer match your identity. Think about it. Darkness doesn't argue with the light. It just disappears when the light shows up. That's exactly how your mind works. You don't have to fight every negative thought. You don't have to chase down every worry. Just shine light, truth, gratitude, faith. And those thoughts can't stay. They can visit, but they can't live there anymore. And when you catch yourself falling back into doubt, don't condemn yourself for it. You're human. Just pause, breathe, and realign. Remind yourself who you are and whose you are, because every time you choose to shift your focus from fear to faith, you're training your mind to trust again. You're building spiritual muscle. You're proving to yourself that peace is a choice, not a coincidence. There's going to be moments when you feel tired of fighting, when the weight of those thoughts feels too heavy. That's when you've got to dig deep and remember why you started. You didn't come this far just to fold under pressure. You came this far because there's something divine within you that refuses to quit. You've been kept, you've been guided, you've been given grace for a reason. So when your mind starts replaying every failure, every pain, every doubt, speak back. Don't stay silent. Silence feeds the storm. Speak life over yourself. Say, I'm stronger than this thought. I'm wiser than this fear. I've been through worse and I'm still standing. Because that's the truth. You're not defined by the voices that haunt you. You're defined by the faith that sustains you. Every time you say yes to God, you're saying yes to healing, yes to purpose, yes to peace. And when you start living that yes, people will notice. They'll see the glow. They'll feel the strength. Not because everything is perfect, but because you stopped letting the storm inside you control the light within you. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to stop letting your thoughts run your life? Are you ready to fight back, to take control, to say yes to something bigger, stronger, higher? Then don't wait another moment. Start right now. Speak your yes out loud. Fill the comments with it. Let the world know. Your mind may have tried to break you, but your faith refused to let go. Sometimes the loudest battles are the ones that never make a sound. You can be smiling in front of everyone, doing what needs to be done, keeping it together, but deep down there's a voice that never seems to quiet down. It questions everything. It makes you second. Guess your worth, your choices, your calling. And before you know it, you're living your life based on fear rather than faith. You start dimming your own light, not because you don't have it, but because those thoughts convinced you that shining too bright might make others uncomfortable, or worse, that you don't deserve to shine at all. That's what negativity does. It creeps in slowly, carefully, like a thief in the night. It doesn't break the door down. It just finds the smallest crack in your confidence and slips through. It convinces you that it's trying to protect you. It says, don't take that risk, you might fail, or don't open your heart, you'll just get hurt again. It pretends to care, but its only goal is to keep you stuck, because when you're stuck, you're silent. And when you're silent, your purpose stays buried. You've got to understand those negative thoughts aren't truth. They're traps. They sound real because they use your own voice. They use your memories, your pain, your insecurities. But they're not who you are. You are not the thoughts that try to hold you back. You are the strength that stands up and says, no more. You are the one who decides to fight back when the weight of the world tries to sit on your chest. When you start saying yes to God, that's when those negative thoughts start to panic, because they know they're losing control. They know that if you ever realize how much power you carry, how much light you've got inside you, they don't stand a chance. That's why it gets tougher right before it gets better. The moment you start choosing faith over fear, your mind will test you. It'll throw every old lie at you to see if you still believe it. But you've got to stand your ground and remind yourself. Well, faith isn't built on what you see, it's built on what you know. You know you've made it through worse. You know you've survived things that should have broken you. You know that every setback you've faced only made you stronger. So don't let a thought tell you otherwise. Don't let your own mind become your prison when God already gave you the key. Every day is a decision. A decision to either live by what your emotions tell you or live by what your spirit knows is true. And listen, I'm not saying ignore your feelings. They're real, but they're not permanent. Feelings change. Thoughts come and go, but truth stays, and the truth is you are capable, you are worthy, you are chosen for something greater, and no thought, no fear, no doubt can erase that. I've seen too many people give up not because life was too hard, but because their thoughts told them they couldn't handle it. They stopped before they even tried. They lost the fight before the bell ever rang. Don't let that be you. Don't let your fears talk you out of your future. You've got too much purpose left to live. You've got too much fire left inside you to walk around pretending you're powerless. Sometimes the best way to fight back isn't by shouting, it's by standing firm. It's by saying, I'm not listening to that anymore. It's by speaking truth even when you don't feel it yet, because what you speak consistently, you start to believe. And what you believe, you start to live. That's how you shift from surviving to thriving, by changing the conversation happening in your own head. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice: replay your fears or renew your faith. It's simple, but it's powerful, because the moment you choose faith, everything changes. You start to see opportunities where you used to see obstacles. You start to feel peace where you used to feel pressure. You stop reacting to negativity and you start responding with purpose. You don't have to control every thought. Just decide which ones get to stay. If it doesn't bring peace, if it doesn't build strength, if it doesn't align with God's plan for your life, then it doesn't belong. Let it go, release it before it roots itself deeper. You are not obligated to keep carrying thoughts that break you. Some people won't understand the fight you're in. They'll see your smile and think you've got it all figured out. But you know the truth. You're fighting for your peace every single day, and that's nothing to be ashamed of. That's what warriors do. They fight battles nobody sees, and they keep walking with their heads held high. So when the doubts come, and they will, don't give them your power. Don't give them your time. Speak life. Speak strength. Speak purpose. Remind yourself that you've already been chosen for something greater, and no storm in your mind can cancel that calling. If you're watching this right now, I want you to take a moment, close your eyes, breathe, and say it with me. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my fear. I'm a child of purpose. I'm saying yes to God. You know, sometimes life will test you in ways that don't make sense. It'll take you through seasons where nothing adds up, where your prayers seem unanswered, and where your strength gets tested in silence. You'll look around and wonder, why me? Why now? Why this? But what you don't realize is that some of the greatest lessons in your life are being written in those very moments when you feel like you have nothing left. The struggle you're facing right now, it's not the end of you. It's the shaping of you. See, we all want success, peace, happiness, blessings, but we don't always want the process that produces them. Everybody wants the victory, but nobody wants the fight. Everybody wants the crown, but not the cross that comes before it. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Strength doesn't come from what's easy. Faith doesn't develop when everything's going your way. It grows when you keep showing up, when you keep trusting, when you keep moving forward even when you can't see the way ahead. Sometimes God will let you walk through the fire, not to burn you, but to refine you. That fire reveals who you really are. It burns away what's fake, what's weak, what's not built to last. It leaves behind only the gold, the real you, the strong you, the faithful you. And you've got to understand, what feels like chaos is often construction. God is building something in you that pain can't destroy and pressure can't break. You might be praying for God to take you out of the storm, but sometimes He wants to teach you how to walk through it. Because peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the presence of power within them. You've got to stop asking for the storm to stop and start asking for the strength to stand in it. That's where faith matures. That's where trust grows deep, and when you start to see it that way, you begin to realize your pain has purpose. Those tears you cried weren't wasted. Those nights you stayed up wondering if you'd make it, they weren't in vain. Every time you got knocked down and stood back up, every time you wanted to quit but didn't, every time you chose to believe again when everything in you said not, that's what built the person you are right now. You are not weak because you struggle. You are strong because you survived. But here's the thing. Don't get comfortable in survival mode. You weren't meant to just survive life. You were meant to rise in it. And that means you've got to stop letting the weight of what happened yesterday stop you from walking into tomorrow. You've got to stop defining yourself by your failures and start defining yourself by your faith. God didn't bring you this far just to leave you tired and broken. He brought you this far so you could show others that with Him anything is possible. Sometimes when life gets heavy, it's not because you're weak, it's because you're carrying something powerful. Purpose has weight. Calling has pressure. The greater your destiny, the stronger your challenges will be. And that's not punishment, that's preparation. You're being strengthened for something that requires resilience. You're being stretched for something that needs endurance. But in the middle of that stretching, don't lose sight of your gratitude, because gratitude is what keeps your heart steady when the world feels unstable. Gratitude reminds you that even when things aren't perfect, you're still breathing, still growing, still becoming, and that's worth more than you realize. The enemy can't destroy a grateful heart, because when you're grateful, you're dangerous, you're unshakable. You stop complaining and start trusting. You stop comparing and start appreciating. You see, life isn't about having everything figured out. It's about having faith when everything feels uncertain. You don't need to understand the plan to trust the purpose. You just need to believe that every challenge is training you, every delay is teaching you, and every disappointment is redirecting you towards something better. And when you finally come out of that storm, and you'll realize that you didn't just survive it, you were transformed by it. The pain didn't break you, it built you. The losses didn't define you, they refined you. The waiting didn't waste you, it prepared you. So stop seeing your struggles as signs of failure. Start seeing them as evidence that something greater is being born through you. You've been through too much to go back now. Keep your eyes forward. Keep your heart open. Keep saying yes to the process, even when it hurts. Because on the other side of that pain is peace. On the other side of that storm is strength. On the other side of that no is a bigger yes. And that's why you can't give up. That's why you can't let those negative thoughts convince you that it's over. Because the truth is, it's just beginning. You're being prepared for the kind of blessing that can't be rushed, and when it arrives, it's going to make sense of every tear, every trial, every long night you thought would never end. You ever notice how the hardest person to forgive is usually yourself? You can forgive other people, you can move on from what they did, you can even pray for them. But when it comes to your own mistakes, your own regrets, it's like you keep replaying them over and over again in your head. Every time you start to feel peace, that memory comes back. Every time you start to feel proud of your progress, that old voice whispers, yeah, but remember when you messed up. And just like that, all your confidence, all your joy gets pulled right back down. See, the enemy doesn't always attack you with big tragedies. Sometimes he uses your own past as a weapon against your future. He doesn't have to destroy your life if he can keep you feeling guilty for living it. He doesn't have to take your opportunities if he can make you believe you're unworthy of them. And that's how people stay stuck. Not because they're not strong, not because they're not capable, but because they're still holding on to the weight of who they used to be. But let me tell you something. Who you were is not who you are. What you did is not your definition. You made mistakes, yes. You failed, yes. You fell short, yes. But you also got back up. You also learned. You also grew. You also changed. So stop using the old version of yourself to judge the person you've become. You've paid the price for your past. You've carried the guilt long enough. It's time to let it go. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means no longer letting it control what happens next. It's understanding that every misstep was part of the lesson that shaped your strength. You see, God doesn't waste pain. He doesn't allow storms to pass through your life for nothing. Every scar has a story, and every story has a purpose. You just have to stop seeing yourself as damaged and start seeing yourself as developed. The truth is, you can't move forward if you keep punishing yourself for a past you've already survived. You can't ask God to bless you with new beginnings while you're still clinging to old guilt. There's no space for both. Either you're living in regret or you're living in redemption, but you can't live in both at the same time. The moment you decide to say yes to God, you're also saying yes to grace. You're saying yes to being forgiven, being renewed, being restored. So stop fighting a battle that's already been won. Stop arguing with your own healing. You are not beyond redemption. You are not disqualified from your purpose because of your past. If anything, your past is what qualified you. It's what gave you the wisdom, the empathy, the perspective you needed to handle what's coming next. What broke you before is now the very thing that builds your strength. And don't let people keep you stuck in your old story either. Some people only know the version of you that didn't know better. That's fine. Let them talk. Let them remember. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your transformation. When you start walking with God, some people won't recognize you. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be, because you weren't made to stay the same. You were made to evolve, to grow, to rise. Forgiving yourself is not weakness. It's spiritual maturity. It's saying, I'm not who I was yesterday, and I refuse to keep carrying guilt that God already lifted off me. It's realizing that shame is not your teacher anymore. Peace is. And when you start walking in that kind of forgiveness, you move differently. Your energy changes. You stop overthinking. You stop trying to prove yourself. You stop needing validation from people who never saw your value in the first place. You start understanding that grace is not earned, it's given. And when you finally accept that, life feels lighter. The same things that used to break you can't touch you anymore. The same mistakes that used to haunt you now remind you how far you've come. That's the beauty of saying yes to God. He doesn't just erase your past, He rewrites your story. He turns what was meant to destroy you into the very thing that develops you. So, if you're still carrying that guilt, if you're still punishing yourself for what's already over, I want you to hear this. You've been forgiven, not because you earned it, but because you're loved. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner your life starts moving again. You owe it to yourself to walk in peace. You owe it to your future to stop bowing to your past. Every step you take in forgiveness brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. You can't change what happened, but you can decide what happens next. And that decision starts the moment you stop saying yes to guilt and start saying yes to grace. You know, one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do in life is to trust God when nothing makes sense. When everything around you seems to be falling apart, when the timing feels wrong, when the doors you prayed for don't open, when the people you counted on walk away, and all you're left with is silence. That silence can mess with you. It can make you question everything. Your decisions, your worth, even your faith. You start wondering, why isn't this working? Why am I still waiting? Why is this happening to me? And that's when those negative thoughts start creeping in, telling you maybe God forgot about you. Maybe He's punishing you. Maybe you're not chosen after all. But that's a lie. You see, delay doesn't mean denial. Just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean it's not happening at all. Some of the greatest blessings come disguised as waiting seasons, because in that silence, God's not ignoring you. He's preparing you. He's refining your patience, shaping your character, strengthening your faith. You may not see it, but every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every season of stillness is positioning you for something greater than you can imagine. It's easy to praise when things are good. It's easy to believe when you're seeing results. But real faith, real trust, is built when there's no evidence, no guarantee, no explanation, just obedience. That's when your yes to God becomes powerful. That's when your faith starts speaking louder than your fear. Because faith is not about understanding everything. It's about trusting even when you understand nothing. Sometimes God will withhold what you want just to show you He's all you need. He'll strip away the noise, the distractions, the comfort, until all that's left is you and Him. And that's when you discover strength you didn't know you had. That's when you realize the peace you were looking for in people, in things, in validation. It was never out there, it was always inside you. But let's be honest, waiting hurts. Letting go hurts. Faith isn't always pretty. Sometimes it looks like tears in the middle of the night, praying the same prayer for the 100th time. Sometimes it looks like walking through doors you didn't plan to walk through. Sometimes it looks like losing people you thought would be there forever. But what if I told you that pain you feel right now, that frustration, that loneliness, it's not punishment, it's process. It's God clearing out everything that doesn't belong in your next chapter. You see, when God wants to take you higher, He has to remove the weight that's been holding you down. That's why some relationships don't last. That's why some plans fail. That's why some things fall apart. Because not everything and not everyone is meant to go where you're going. And if you keep trying to hold on to what God is trying to remove, you'll only slow down your own blessing. Sometimes you've got to let the storm happen so the peace can come after it. The truth is, the same God who allowed the storm is the same God who will bring you out of it. You might not see the plan, but He's working it out behind the scenes. You might not feel strong enough, but He's building strength in your spirit. Every struggle, every delay, every disappointment, it's all part of the preparation, because God never wastes pain. And when He finally brings you into what's meant for you, you'll understand why the wait was necessary. You've got to stop letting impatience talk you out of your promise. You've got to stop letting frustration make you forfeit your faith. You can't plant a seed and then dig it up every 2 days because it hasn't sprouted yet. Growth takes time. Breakthrough takes time. Trust takes time. But if you stay rooted, if you keep saying yes even when it's hard, that seed will grow. And when it does, it'll be bigger, stronger, and more beautiful than you imagine. So, don't rush the process. Don't let temporary discomfort make you give up on permanent blessings. God's timing is never late. It's just deliberate. He's working things out in ways you can't see, aligning people, opportunities, and situations that are connected to your purpose. While you're worried about what's taking so long, He's busy making sure it lasts. I know it's not easy to trust when everything feels uncertain. But sometimes you've got to thank God not just for what He gives, but for what He takes away. Because every no, every delay, every loss, it's guiding you to something better. And when that blessing comes, when that moment finally arrives, you'll look back and say, now I see why it had to happen that way. So if you're in that season right now, the waiting, the confusion, the silence, don't lose heart. You're not being forgotten. You're being formed. God is not ignoring your prayers. He's upgrading your capacity. He's teaching you how to handle what's coming, how to stand firm when others fold, how to believe even when nothing looks like it's working. So keep going, keep trusting, keep saying yes, because one day you're going to look around and realize that everything you thought was falling apart was actually falling into place. Sometimes you've got to learn to move in silence. Not everything you feel, not every plan you have, not every dream that's growing inside you needs to be announced to the world. Because the truth is, not everyone who claps for you is clapping for your victory. Some are just waiting for your fall. And the more you talk, the more you invite opinions that don't belong in your destiny. There's power in silence, because silence protects what's sacred. When you move quietly, you give your growth time to develop roots before it faces the wind. See, we live in a world where everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be heard, everyone wants validation. People will post every move, every thought, every next step before it's even fully formed. But when you talk too soon, you drain the energy meant to build that dream. Some things need time in the dark before they're ready for the light. Just like a seed, you bury it first, you let it sit in the soil where no one sees it, and that's where it gathers its strength. If you dig it up too soon just to show people what you're growing, it dies before it ever becomes what it's meant to be. Your vision doesn't need to be explained to everybody. It wasn't given to them, it was given to you. And sometimes, the very people you think will support you are the ones who will talk you out of it. Not always because they're bad people, but because they can't see what you see. You can't expect someone to understand the size of your calling when their perspective is limited to their own fear. So, you protect it, you build it, you keep working on it in the quiet when no one's watching, because that's where power grows. In the unseen places, and when you move silently, something beautiful happens. You start listening more, you start hearing God's voice clearer, you start recognizing what really matters. Silence gives you clarity that noise can't. It helps you separate what's real from what's just distraction. Because not every opportunity is divine, not every open door is meant for you, and not every person who walks into your life deserves access to your plans. Silence keeps you discerning. It keeps you humble. Don't confuse being silent with being passive. Moving in silence doesn't mean you stop working. It means you work with more intention. You wake up early, you pray, you grind, you plan, you execute, and you let the results speak for you. You don't need to announce your greatness. Greatness has a way of making noise on its own when the time is right. People won't have to ask what you're doing. They'll see it, they'll feel it. And sometimes the silence is not just for protection, it's for preparation. Because when God is preparing to elevate you, He often isolates you. That silence you're in, that space where it feels like nobody gets it, where you feel unseen or misunderstood. That's not punishment, that's positioning. You're being refined in that quiet space. You're learning patience, discipline, endurance. You're learning to depend on purpose, not applause. Don't rush to prove yourself. Let time do that for you. Let your consistency speak louder than your words. Let your actions build a testimony that no one can deny. The loudest people in the room are often the most insecure, but the ones who move in silence, who stay steady, who keep their focus, those are the ones who shock the world when they finally step out. And when that moment comes, when everything you've been working for begins to unfold, you won't have to explain how you did it. People will think it happened overnight, but you'll know it was years of quiet faith, unseen effort, and inner growth. That's the beauty of divine timing. It makes everything look sudden, but it's been building in silence the whole time. So don't let impatience push you into talking too soon. Don't let loneliness make you doubt your process. The right people will see your value at the right time. The right doors will open when you're ready. Until then, let your silence be your strength. Let it sharpen your spirit. Let it mold your confidence from within. Because once you know who you are, you don't have to shout it from the rooftops. You just walk in it. Your peace is your power. Your silence is your strategy. The world doesn't need to know every step you take. It just needs to feel the impact when you arrive. And when you arrive, do it with humility, not noise, because true success doesn't need to prove anything. It just is.